And that gives us a little more time to speak to our next guest, who is not here yet. So we'll have to think about something else.
Eli Lake from the Daily Beast is amazing exclusive yesterday. He actually spoke or found out through a leak, and by the way, I wonder if Eric Holder is going to be investigating him for this leak. He found out about this exclusive conference call. It sounds like, from a 007 James Bond movie, this conference of evildoers. What was it in the Hall of Justice, the superhero, the supervillains, basically getting together. All of these Al-Qaeda folks getting together and having this conference call. And he found out who was on the call and what they discussed, and this is what he and Josh Rogan, his writing partner over there, it was 20 operatives from Al-Qaeda from all across the world getting on a conference call.
A conference call. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and this is the conference call that was the U.S. government intercepted it, and I guess they were able to actually listen in and hear what was going on, and that prompted them to shut down the embassies in 22 countries. A lot of questions about that I want to ask Eli about, not just the contents of the call, but it does suggest a different question. Why is somebody leaking this? Why do we want to let Al-Qaeda know that we were able to listen in on this obviously very tight? I doubt that they use, gotomeeting.com or something like that. I'm guessing that they have some pretty secure operations as well. Why are we leaking and letting our enemies know that we are able to intercept these communications and know what they're talking about?
Well, it's very strange, and you wonder why Al-Qaeda, which we understand has very meticulous procedures for communicating one with the other, would just get everybody on a big conference call. Seems like if you got that conference call, you'd be able to track down everybody who was there. One guy called it is like a meeting of the Legion of Doom.
It is. There you go. That's what I was trying to come up with. The Legion of Doom. It's like from Dr. Evil's henchman there in the Austin Powers movies. Eli Lake joins us now. He and Josh Rogan wrote this exclusive yesterday on the Daily Beast.
So Eli, tell us a little bit about what you learned. It's pretty eye-opening. What this sort of intelligence coup that has been uncovered that helped them sort of uncover this terrorist threat.
Yeah, well, I can tell you a little bit more. There's some details about this that we withheld because our sources asked us to withhold that, and sometimes we don't print everything we find out. The other thing I would say is that, the first report of an intercept that led to these terror warnings and the embassies closing down was with McClatchy, which talked about a communication between Wuhaisi, who is the leader of Al-Qaeda's Yemen branch, and Ayman al-Zawahiri, who is, of course, the current leader of Al-Qaeda.
Right.
So we were trying to find out, well, what was that call all about? And what we found out was it was not a telephone conversation or in any way. What it was a kind of remote conference. And this was not a conference call using telephones. We use the term conference call in a kind of loose sense. But what I would tell you is that it was a remote conference where Al-Qaeda and various Al-Qaeda leaders...
Are you suggesting it's like a webinar?
There's certain words we were asked not to use, but I would just say it's a way of having it's like a conference call, but it's not using a telephone. If that makes sense.
I got you.
And it is a technique that Al Qaeda has used. It's not so much. The other thing I can tell you is that by getting access to that, the United States did not get access to the location of the individuals on the call. That's an important point to make. And I think that it's also important to say that the United States did not have, it's not like the United States intelligence had access to this line all the time. It's sort of this kind of catch-or-catch-can sort of situation. I would leave it there. But they got very lucky this one time, and they were able to get it. And I was able to learn about this and feel comfortable writing about it in part because the cat was already out of the bag, which is once that intercept was written about, it was a matter of time that they knew that particular communication had been compromised. But at the same time, we're still withholding certain details at the request of our sources. Right. But I would say that this was basically like a management board meeting. If you're Al-Qaeda, you can't have everybody show up, in Kandahar or Abbottabad or wherever you are because you're on the run, and the people who would have to show up are on the run and being constantly watched. Al-Qaeda is very aware of that. So they were able to develop over time ways in which, and this is, I think it's like fairly recent, it's the last few years, depending on who you talk to, the United States had heard about this. There had been inklings of al-Qaeda doing this maybe longer, but the United States was able to sort of prove it a few years ago that they did this from time to time. And so it's basically a board meeting of the organization. But it's important because it shows that even though no one doubts that this administration has had great success in killing what they call al-Qaeda senior leadership based in Pakistan, the organization has adapted. And it is still very much run by Ayman al-Zawahiri, who is not on the run himself, and who is capable of having these kinds of virtual meetings and giving orders and direction and promoting people like the leader of al-Qaeda in Yemen, and giving him effectively control of the entire al-Qaeda network. And that's a different model than what the Obama administration has at least sort of said, which is that the core of al-Qaeda is severely weakened, and that we have a problem with these affiliates.
Yeah.
But what the issue is now is that there are fewer senior leaders in Pakistan, but the affiliates are kind of at the disposal of this guy in Yemen who appears to be a senior leader. So it looks like the organization in many ways has adapted.
Our guest is Eli Lake. He's the senior national security reporter for Daily Beast. And Eli, you're taking me right to where I wanted to ask you. You've heard it a lot, I think, on cable news and on talk radio. We've been playing the president's words from the 2012 campaign, where he continued to say that al-Qaeda has either been decimated or al-Qaeda is on the run. Knowing the intricacies of these plans and the fact that it's now forced us to shut down embassies in 22 countries, is it fair to say that either the president underestimated al-Qaeda's potential here, or he willfully misled the American people?
I don't want to say he willfully misled anybody.
I figured you wouldn't.
I'm saying I want to make that very clear. If you're the president, who authorized the mission that killed Osama bin Laden, I think you get to say that you've been able to decimate the senior leadership. He was the leader of al-Qaeda. But the thing that it does show, though, is and the policy here is not necessarily reflecting all the time Obama's rhetoric. But what Obama likes to do is he likes to basically take the war that Bush waged. A lot of Bush's war was secret. Obama wanted to make the entire war secret. And so the whole theme was, we ended the stupid war in Iraq. We're ending the war in Afghanistan. The tide of war is receding. But there were still a lot of things that Obama authorized that were basically kind of secret drone missions, not just in Pakistan, but also Yemen and Somalia and other kinds of intelligence operations, which, by definition, he couldn't tell the people about.
I need a 10-second answer because we're out of time on this. Do you think that the drone strikes that have followed in Yemen are a result of us having sort of penetrated some of that?
I think that there is a connection there between the intelligence that we've gathered and the drone strike.
All right. Thank you so much, Eli Lake. Appreciate your being on the program today.